I want to start by wishing you, us, a happy anniversary. We have been
Hey,
we've been rocking this out now for 2 decades. That's a long time.
what kind of
What
anniversary? We could be talking about a lot of different anniversaries. People who don't know, you just can't say anniversary. Anniversary to what?
anniversary to us being married, our nuptials. Remember you tried to
20
get me to sign a
years,
prenup?
2 decades. Absolutely, I did. And if I really tried, like really wanted to try, you would have signed it.
Yeah.
But I was like,
I
I
don't
let
know
her
why.
live.
That'd have been a waste of time. But that'd
That's
have
what
been
you
a
kept
waste of
saying.
time.
But I'm like, that's what they all say, I'm sure. It's a waste of time to sign a prenup until it's no longer a waste of time to sign a prenup.
Wow. Well,
But look at us now. Look at us. 20 years in. And that's 20 years married. That's not even 20 years together.
I know we were living out of wedlock for what, 4 or 5 years before we even got married. That's what the old folks say.
Oh, they ain't know no better.
They ain't know no better. You gotta
Yeah, they
try
know
it
no
out,
better.
right? I think you have to try and do a test run before you even know if it can really work. But anyways, in honor of our union, I want to have some fun with it. We've been a gimmick. We haven't broke character yet for 20 years. And it leads me to ask this question. What character in wrestling, past or present, could you not get tired of their character for 20 years? And I'm pulling out Undertaker and Cena just to make it a little bit harder.
Well, Cena, we got tired of his character. Taker knew we would get tired of his character, so he changed it multiple times.
Mhm.
But like this answer would be the answer of who you feel like your GOAT is, right? Because if they're your GOAT, you never get tired of them. So for me, like that's
But
Austin.
character though. Their character
Stone
could have
Cold Steve
changed.
Austin,
Okay.
the beer swigging, authority, Hayden, middle finger, given Texas rattlesnake.
I like that. I believe it or not, I think I'm going with, and this is just recency bias, I think I'm going with R-Truth. I think we have gotten him for almost about 20 years. I personally won't get tired of him. I know at one point about, was it a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, you were just like, I'm just so over him right now in this character.
No,
But I
much
think I'm
longer than
always gonna
that.
like him.
It's like 6-7 years ago, and you was the same way. Think back to those Vince McMahon led Raw and SmackDown shows where R-Truth came out there shucking and jiving, singing "What's Up." We was like, "Oh, this motherfucker, man! Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
but you can't tell me
oh,
that every time he said, "What's up?" you didn't say, "What's up?" afterwards.
oh yeah." I was there.
That's
You
what
know what
I'm
I'm saying?
saying. So
People over
I
there,
think I'm
what's
rolling with
up?
R-Truth.
Truth be killing it. You feel, man? Shout out to the legend. His birthday was yesterday,
Happy birthday,
so happy
R-Truth.
birthday to R-Truth, friend of the TFW podcast Twitter account. He turned 54.
Wow.
He turned
Amazing.
54.
Amazing.
Um, I'm going to give people time because I'm not going to. I want to talk it. We'll give it a segment next week.
Mhm.
WWE Unreal season 2. So
Yeah.
we knocked it out yesterday because one, it was compelling television for me. So like I didn't want to stop. But the big one is you go online and people started clipping stuff up already. And it's like, I get it to a certain extent, but we'll talk. We'll talk next week. I want to give it a full segment, but I want to give people time to watch it. So it's not, quote unquote spoilers or anything like that. So if you are a TFW pod fan, watch Unreal by next week's show so we can have a conversation and talk about it. And we don't give anything away per se. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot actually. And it was pretty eye opening for some things. It was eye opening to see some of the response from social media on it as well. But I enjoyed it, and we'll wait and talk about it next week.
And you know what's so amazing about this is for our wedding anniversary, we woke up, ate brunch, watched Unreal, and then went to bed. Like, if you can't say that we're not a wrestling family, a wrestling couple, I don't know what else is. We spent the deuce, it's not deuce, but we spent the 20 watching 4+ hours of Unreal.
More than that, we watched all 5 episodes.
That was
And
5
part of it
episodes,
is because
okay.
we're in Spain. Weather wasn't the greatest. If we were in Alicante where we were for the first 6 weeks, that wouldn't have been the case. We would have walked and went to a restaurant and ate. Here, there's really no like fine dining restaurants in walking distance. So we didn't walk. We didn't leave. We didn't leave the compound yesterday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nope.
So yeah, part of it absolutely is that's wild. You guys watched Unreal on your 20th wedding anniversary. But that speaks to how much we enjoy wrestling. Matt was watching with us too till he
That's
tapped
say,
out.
yeah.
He tapped out in the last episode. But yeah, if we were in Alicante or even we were back in the States, we would have went out. We'll celebrate when we go back. We got to go back in 2 weeks. So we'll be in Michigan for a bit. We'll go and get some crab legs and really do big for the 20th. So you asked that question about like gimmicks. I got a question for you.
Sure.
So if you had to pick a couple to double date with in all of wrestling, a shoot couple,
wrestling. Okay.
what couple would that be?
Woo. See, that question has evolved over time because I would think that originally it would have been Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. But just over the last couple years in the McMahon family and their ties, their political views, I'm sorry, that's just what it is. It makes me kind of maybe not want to do that, but that's still pretty intriguing. I mean, maybe if I could put politics aside for a moment to be able to pick their brains on how they think, they operate. But when you say a double date, that also make almost sound like fun. Like we probably should be partying and not try to make it like a business deal type thing. Who is like who's known to be in the hypest couple? I would say anybody who's hype that we can rock out. Anything minus doing like coke or something like that. Like just partying, drinking and vibing. I think that's probably who I would want to rock with. Maybe Montez and Bianca before. But Montez is not a friend of the show, so forget him. I don't know. Dang, that's a good one. You have one while I'm thinking?
I mean, I got a few, but if I was one, it would probably be Trinity and Jimmy because they're a lot like us. They're a lot like us. But if I didn't pick them, it would be Cross and Scarlett.
I could
Those are
see them.
probably the top two. Those are probably the top two out of like couples. Because you also got to make sure that it's a couple that are on good terms because you know how that goes, possibly.
Yeah,
we
we want a good vibe.
Is nasty.
We got like
right?
ew, like yuck. No, I like
and then
that.
And then you just always have to find some way just to bring in cocaine. Like I don't know if you got this thing that you just want to do cocaine, but ma'am, like you auntie, okay, even drinking hard, you probably should relax on. Like chill out. Your answer should not be, anybody we can just go crazy with and drink.
Wait, it's our wedding anniversary.
I didn't say
podcast.
Wedding anniversary.
And you sitting up here though throwing shade at me. You throwing shade at me saying auntie don't need to be even drinking hard liquor. You said I need to stick to the wine coolers? You acting like I'm like about to be 21? Oh my God, this is so messed up.
I can tell the multiple stories if you would like me to right now about just
but that has nothing to do with me and my age.
Show your auntie
that just
status.
Has that first off, we talking about that. I thought you were talking about drinking related.
Physical, mental, you know what I mean? But we're not gonna get that now because we gotta get to the wrestling stuff.
But I came out the womb. I came out the womb matured. I came out the womb. They was like, this she been here before.
No, I don't think so. But this podcast is mature because we on episode 232. You know what I mean? TFW pod. That's freaking wrestling. Man, episode 232. To be exact, that's where we at right now. We don't even put the numbers in our shows anymore. But if you've been rocking with us, it feels like it may be a little bit more than 232. It can't, right? That's 232 episodes. And we did some like WrestleMania post shows and Royal Rumble post shows that we didn't count. But still, we in the 230s, which is insane. But Best Kept Secret in Wrestling podcast that tells you exactly like it is. Y'all know that beautiful lady over there, Rhodesia. I am your favorite talker out in these wrestling streets, Matt.
Auntie.
And thank y'all for joining, being a part of this movement. y'all know what I say all the time right now. If you like what we doing, hit that plus button on that screen, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Helps us out tremendously to get this content out to more people. And shout out to our audio listeners. We had our most listened to show in over 2 months last podcast. So
Thank you.
appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all. And appreciate y'all. So we spent enough time lollygagging around. It's been 10 minutes. Let's talk some freaking wrestling. Right? And I think the main story of this show probably needs to be AJ Styles and his future. AJ Styles on Monday Night Raw was confronted by Gunther, and AJ Styles said, "Hey, you know you cheated. I need another piece of that ass at the Royal Rumble."
No pause. We starting off already?
And Gunther said,
piece of that ass?
"All right, you want to do that? Put your career on the line." And the crowd, ooh, oh. AJ, as any upstanding man would do.
Man, for real. He got kudo points.
Had to go call
brownie
his wife.
points. Brownie points for that.
AJ said, "Shit, hold on. $1 million contract. I'll be at home a lot. Hey, man, you mind if I call my wife?" And Pierce, being an upstanding individual, married man, also said, "You probably need to go ahead and call your wife."
Go do that.
Right? He comes back a few segments later and said, "The wife said what I thought she'd say. Kick his ass."
Yeah.
So we have at the Royal Rumble, Gunther versus AJ Styles. If AJ Styles loses, that career is donezo. I said on social media on Monday when I saw that, I said, I think we'll do a segment on this show of why AJ Styles should lose and retire and why AJ Styles should not lose and retire. Because, boy, can I give you both reasons clear as day. So what do you think, Rhodesia? Now that you see this match is official next weekend in Saudi, AJ Styles versus Gunther for AJ's career.
For starters, it did sound the wording was different. Usually we hear person leaves town, person leaves show. Like it's very particular on how they word said career. AJ's come out and said that he's pretty much at the end of his career. How much longer it's taken for him to, after a match, getting his body back to be able to perform and just feel good. So we knew 2026 is going to be it. But damn, he wasted no time. Like he was like, okay, 2026 is here. Let's rock this out. I thought it was a little bit premature. If this was his last year, I feel like AJ Styles deserves more of a send-off. So I think that for me, this would be he should lose. He should end his career. Gunther should eliminate him because that is the story that they have told with Gunther. As far as Goldberg, as far as Cena, and now we're here with AJ Styles. And I would think that it would be very disappointing and like disjointed if he doesn't retire AJ Styles. So for the record, yes, AJ Styles should lose. He should retire by the hands of Gunther coming up. My only reason, and that's it,
right?
Yes, but I feel like it's disrespectful to AJ.
Well, then you don't believe that he should lose next Saturday then, if you think it's disrespectful to AJ.
Then I feel like,
then that's your answer. Then no, don't do it.
But I feel like AJ would be okay with retiring right now to tell that bigger story. Because again, when you leave, you want to leave the business better than what you found it. So if he can add on to that story of Gunther being the almighty big bad guy, I think AJ would want to do that. And I'm down for whatever he wants to do. The same energy I was on with Cena. Like whatever you want to do in your final time in your career, you deserve it. You've earned it. You've put enough wear and tear on your body. So that's what I'm just getting at. I'm like, AJ, I feel like he deserves more of a send-off. But if this is what he wants to do, then he should lose to tell the story for the better of the business. So if I had to pick, yes, he should be retired by Gunther.
I mean, when you say he deserves more of a send-off. I don't know how much more of a send-off you can do than losing at a major top 3 stadium pay-per-view. I don't know what more an AJ Styles would warrant. Remember, AJ Styles is the guy who said he didn't even think he would have a match with John Cena where he was pegged out on
Yeah.
the card, right? So we can't go from AJ feeling like at this point I am just a mid-card act to, 3-4 months later to, oh man, we need this grandiose send-off. So I
I
don't,
didn't say that. That's not what I said. What I just said more of a send off. Like for me, it would be more of time. If I had to quantify it, if you're saying like, what else can you do? He was a mid Carter. He kind of was like a nobody at one point. That for him to be able to wrestle Cena, and then to hold the tag team championships toward the end of last year and the beginning of this year. Sure, you're right. There's really probably not much more he could do, but I feel like we need more time. I think the people need to know more time ahead that this is going to be his last 2-3 months wrestling. And I just don't think we have that. If
well,
you weren't
so
at IWC, you probably didn't know that he said that he's going to hang it up in 2026.
which is great. We don't need to know, right? Because on television, the story is this, which is why it's such a big deal. If we knew it, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Say if everybody knew AJ's contract was up in September, then everybody's looking at SummerSlam as AJ's last match.
Right.
This caught people by surprise because it's like, yo, yeah, we knew allegedly 2026 was it, but yo, first month of 2026? I haven't seen anything official. Okay. And typically, from what I know, contracts are for a 12-month rolling period, right? So 3-year deal, 5-year deal, 4-year deal is how the contracts work. Not 13 months, 17 months, 19 months. AJ Styles debuted at the Royal Rumble. If I'm not mistaken, they've been talking about this whole 2016 thing. I think it was 10 years ago.
I can look it up.
Okay. So if AJ Styles debuted 10 years ago in WWE, when does that make his contract up? Either January or February.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, if we're talking about 3-year deals, 4-year deals, 5-year deals. So if his contract is up in January or February, boy, is this a fantastic time that caught everybody by surprise. Now, could they add on times? Absolutely, they could add on
Right.
time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yep.
For me, when I heard the stipulation, the first thing I thought was like, no, not yet. That was just the first thing that came to my mind. Like, oh, that's great that they're using it as a storyline. And then before the segment was even over, I was like, ooh, I know I'm in the minority, but this absolutely should be it. Because as I said the night Gunther beat John Cena, if you are going with the career killer gimmick, and we've heard Cole say it, you can't stop now.
Right.
He's only done 2. He's done 2 in 1 year. And if you look at Cena, and Cena's all about putting people in the best positions, adding to the story. I'm no longer here, so let's do this thing the way it needs to be done. If he knew and he knows, hey, AJ's going to be out in a few months. We're going to have Gunther take him out. Of course, John's like, absolutely. I'll put him over. Yeah, absolutely. Give me Gunther as the last match.
Yeah.
Because now we got Goldberg, John Cena, and AJ Styles in a span of 7 to 8 months. And we know we still have Brock Lesnar through Cena's mouth.
Right.
About a big show
Around
in Minnesota. And I know Brock's looking at hanging up and retiring also.
Yeah.
There's some people who feel like that could be Obafemi spot. Of course. I wouldn't do that. I would give that to Gunther.
And that could be a topic later too. I think I would give that. There's not a think about it. I would give that to Gunther.
I would give all that equity to Gunther and then have Gunther and Oba
Lose to
face
Oba. There we go.
and have Oba just run through him.
Yep.
Holy hell. He is
Yep.
now the guy. Right? And then if you want to throw in Chris Jericho, I maybe will leave Chris Jericho out of that because I think AJ Styles, Bill Goldberg, John Cena, and Brock Lesnar is more than enough for you to retire in a 12-month span. Right, we don't
Absolutely.
need that story with Chris Jericho.
That'd be
I'm
like
sure
overkill.
Jericho would
That'd be
sign
overkill.
more. Yeah, and I'm sure he would sign more than a 8-month deal or whatever the case may be, because this works so good because of the time frame behind it. Holy hell, are you kidding me? So, I thought through all that. Then I said, okay, well, if they don't want to do that yet, there's still a way to, because I'm always like, what's next? And it was so funny. Triple H said that a few times on Unreal, and I've always told Rhodesia when we would talk wrestling, and this is one of the things where I talked about Obafemi over a year ago when people were clamoring for him to be called up then, and I said, okay, like this is that guy that you can't fuck up at all. You got to make sure you do him right, and to hell with what the first storyline feud is going to be. What's the third storyline feud? What's the fourth? Like, you got to have that kind of pegged already. If not, you're dead in the water. Okay, great. Somebody had an incredible debut first month, and then what? If you don't have the proper follow-up behind it. So I'm like, for Gunther, what's next for Gunther? Like, what is Gunther's North Star for WrestleMania? And who knows what that is right now. But if you don't have that answer, then maybe you do AJ. So maybe in Saudi, to your point, Rhodesia, this match has only been announced for, less than 2 weeks before the actual event. Do a DQ finish. Or even maybe, I would do a DQ finish or a DQ or a count out. I wouldn't do AJ going over because of where I would finish this at. I would, if you wanted to do this, have a DQ finish. You get a Gunther beat down at the end, whatever, leave AJ laying. And then we go AJ and Gunther again at WrestleMania, and that's AJ's last match.
Now, I can sign up for that.
And maybe we don't announce it as AJ's last match. Actually, we probably don't announce it as AJ's last match.
No, that's fair.
But
That's
Gunther,
fair.
whatever he does, right? Tap him out, powerbomb him all the way to hell. And then AJ leaves, his gloves in the ring.
Yep.
Right, and we get the whole thing. Oh, my God. And right? Gunther can still say he retired him. And you got 3 months out of this.
Yeah.
Because what did I say when AJ was the first person to
meet or to confront Gunther. Yep.
Gunther after he beat John Cena. I said, damn, already? Like,
yeah.
Wow. Okay. I didn't think this would be already. Well, now it's starting to make sense. Because once again, you have coined him as the career killer. This is the time. In time being, if this is what you guys are going with right now, well, this is the guy to retire him. There is nothing more AJ can do this year. I don't want to see a world title run with him. He just had a fun, quick tag team title run, right? He was pretty great. He was trying to feud with Dominic over the IC title, so we got to see a little bit of comedy there. We got to see him in the John Cena. He's good. Yeah, we would miss him because we look at him and say, damn, dude, you're still doing it at a high level. He hit that one move. I can't remember, was that? No, so it was the match with Gunther. He hit the one splash off the top rope or off the third rope
off the top
on the Gunther's leg, and you're just like, yo, man, you even made a comment when it happened. I'm just watching this guy. I'm like, yo, I know Cena said he ain't got no more, and you can argue. Of course, I think he did have more if he wanted to. You can work around people's limitations in wrestling. That's why a lot of wrestlers can work so far in, because now we're using our brains instead of using all of our physical attributes. But we've seen it all from AJ. We don't need any more. The other thing, too, you made a comment earlier about the wording.
Yeah.
The other thing I would have thought it would have been really cool to do, but this could maybe discredit where he's at in the fans wouldn't look at it this way. The company may. And maybe even to a certain extent, AJ would. The first thing I thought actually, well, it was the third thing. First thing I thought was, no way. Second thing I thought was, this is perfect timing. Third thing I thought was, is this a play to get him in TNA?
And I would be so against that. So against that.
and there you go, right? But he is
So
known as the
against
TNA
that.
guy.
I get that, but I
But
would be so
for him
against
to
that. I
lose
would
to
hate that.
Gunther,
I
then
would
to go
hate
to
that.
TNA for a year, that's a significant and drastic step down,
I would hate that.
right?
I would
Like,
hate that.
yep. So I don't think they go that way. And he said retire. Now, if this was a loser leaves town or
Yep.
leave WWE, well,
Mm.
if Gunther would just say, "Hey, you have to leave WWE," um, it'll help TNA's business, boy. I tell you that much.
I would
It really
so hate
would.
that.
But I just think you don't do that. You don't do that.
No, especially if he's talking about that he knows the quality of his matches in order to do that, his body's not going to be able to keep doing that. But then you go to another company. So then now you've just even discredited the other company. So, like you said, wrestling is working around your limitations. So if it is a situation where he's like, okay, maybe I have 2 matches, 3 matches, 5 matches a year out of me left, you can absolutely do that within WWE. If he's saying he's leaving wrestling because his body, only to find out that he's going to work somewhere else, that would just be a lose-lose for everybody. Now, people who love TNA and who loves AJ Styles, they may think it's a win, but I just think like, okay, so now you have conceded to getting second-rate AJ Styles. Like, no, like to me, if you're done, then you're done. Just like I told you before, how I get on my horse about these Hall of Famers coming back, having another career in wrestling. Like again, we know that it's a passion, it's something screw loose in their head that they just love wrestling no matter what it does to their body. They just have to do it. I don't necessarily have that as far as a passion project of mine, so I can't even maybe even mentally wrap my head around that thought. But if you're retired and you are in the Hall of Fame, bye. Like you're not an active wrestler anymore. That's why I'm so impressed by what John Cena has said that he's committed to do. Like you might see him again in the ring, but it's never to be working as a talent. If AJ is
Yeah,
done, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, if you book it out to Mania, he needs to be done
through the hands of Gunther.
through the hands of Gunther.
Through the hands of
Yes.
Gunther. Because now you got to go all in.
Yep.
Because if not, this was a waste. Right? So what else would you have this perfect opportunity for Gunther?
Hmm.
Cena's contract, in ring, he decided he wanted it to be done. Like I said, you already had Goldberg. Okay, we'll give him one more against our big bad. And now you can do AJ too because of where his contract is lined up and where he said he's okay, he's good with. And you got Brock on the horizon. This, like, pull the
Lightning in
trigger.
a bottle, all the stars align at this point. Like, yeah, you can't. That'd be foolish and silly not to.
Pull the trigger. Now, if the thought is to have Obafemi go to Raw because that's where Gunther's at, I'm all on board. We talked last week about I feel like Obafemi is much more needed on SmackDown than he is Raw currently. But if the play is within this calendar year to give that equity to Obafemi, you got it.
That has to be done right,
Mhm.
which I will trust them in that. But AJ Styles debuted WWE Royal Rumble January 24th, 2016.
There
So
you
it
go.
could be exactly 10 years.
Can't get too much better than that at all. Did we even hit on any reason why he should not lose to Gunther?
Yeah, I said my
Okay.
personal
Just want
feeling,
to make sure.
and it was
Just
it
want
was
to make
just that
sure.
it wasn't enough time for us fans to truly appreciate that this is his final thing. I mean, John Cena opened up like a Pandora's box with this announcing his championship, and I think in other companies before, it might have been Hoovitude, and I'm ignorant here, but I remember there was somebody who retired and they went on like a world tour retirement matches and stuff like that. We've seen that
Hmm.
a couple of times in wrestling, professional wrestling, not in WWE, but in professional wrestling, and that's cool. But a lot of times those guys were a lot older too. But Cena completely opened up Pandora's box as far as announcing retirements, and I think it's actually pretty amazing. It gives us the ability to appreciate them kind of one last time.
And you can't do it like this can't now set a standard of when people are leaving, everybody gets a farewell tour. It was John Cena, right? The GOAT, as they would say. Like he's the GOAT. Not to discredit AJ. AJ can't then go on a retirement run.
He
Nobody's really
can
goes on a
for what
retirement in
the
wrestling.
story's
I'm
not
talking about
here
back
for
to
that.
back. I'm talking about back to back because then that discredit what we just saw with John Cena for an entire year for those 36 days. If AJ's contract was up in 3-4 years and you wanted to do it, maybe I would still say he's probably not at that level. That is really saved for your top of the top of the top,
But you
right? Your
don't have
Cody
to
Rhodes,
have
your
a
Roman
1
Reigns is
year,
those.
you don't have to have
But
a
I'm
1 year
saying, but
retirement
they
tour.
just did it. No, you don't have to do it, but we just did it. That's why this makes so much sense to just go ahead and do it now. So, for me, my biggest reason why not would be because it's in Saudi and that spot should maybe be held for a international or a US crowd that has been rocking and riding with AJ Styles for the longest time.
That's a very good point.
That would be the reason why. So then that's why I say if you do the WrestleMania thing. Now, it could get a little bit convoluted to where then Gunther can still say he's a career killer. He can still say it because if AJ retires, then he in essence still retired him if it's not a retirement match. What they can't do is show their hand. If they're going with this stipulation for Royal Rumble, you can't then do a retirement stipulation. We all know Gunther's not retiring. So it wouldn't be a career versus career match. You already did it in Saudi. And that's why I said if this is how they're setting it up, this is the perfect time and opportunity because now you're using that stipulation. So if you use it and AJ doesn't lose, but then AJ then loses in a couple months and he leaves anyway, well, you should just did it at the Royal Rumble.
Yep.
And for AJ, he may say, no, this is the perfect opportunity. You can't write this any better. The guy who people thought would never make it to WWE, the guy who people thought wouldn't get a push if he ever did make it to WWE because of his size, because he wasn't a WWE guy. I showed up 10 years ago. I was in this company for 10 years. And the same show that I debuted, I'm going out on against Gunther, who just retired John Cena.
Very poetic.
Yeah, hey, it's a wrap. Love you, AJ. You got to go, brother. Uncle Al. Can't wait for your new podcast. I'm sure you'll do a podcast about video games and wrestling.
He's got a little old and senile in the last year. Uncle Al never used profanity before, but in the last year, he been cussing. I think he even cussed out a woman this last year. Yeah, I'm like,
married,
yo.
bitch. Remember? Said that to Scarlett.
That's what it was. Okay. Yeah. I knew it was to a woman.
I remember that. So yeah. The other thing, so I have like a 1A, 1B for this show. That was number one. I felt like we did that. Right? We killed that. The second one was probably a update from our Block A from last week.
I don't even remember our Block A from last week. Piece.
Cody Rhodes was next for Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes should be healed, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh.
So we recorded last week on Wednesday, and this probably was either Thursday or Friday. News comes out, and I have it right here in front of me. Triple H reportedly decided that doing a Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns match at WrestleMania this year for the third time in 4 years and spending months building the direction would lead to audience fatigue. So, as we talked about last week, the top of WrestleMania has been fleshed out allegedly, the card. The two matches now involving Cody Rhodes, as of right now, is allegedly Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes and or Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes versus Jacob Fatu. Now, couple thoughts. I think this is the biggest political game being played backstage possibly even more so than the last two WrestleManias. The one involving Rock, and then they turned to the tag match and what that looked like, et cetera, et cetera. And last year, where we got that cluster of a build with the triple threat because things fell out. This couldn't work. People jockeying for positions and such.
Measuring.
For Triple H to say, running Roman versus Cody for the third time in 4 years, and then building to that. So meaning TV's gonna be centered around that, maybe right after the Rumble through WrestleMania, would create audience fatigue. But you're telling me Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes could not and maybe won't create audience fatigue. I absolutely call BS on that. I also call BS on the creative team and or Triple H thinking that either one of those two matches that I just named off is remotely close to the anticipation in the match quality and the fallout of what Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes 3 would and should be.
So this political gamesmanship that you're speaking of then is coming directly from Triple H. If I'm hearing you right, if I'm reading between your lines, you're trying to say that H is pulling us off, pulling these strings, saying, no, we're not going to have Cody and Roman again for whatever reason, insert reason, audience fatigue, which there is truth to it because I've said that before, having Bloodline at the top of the card again. But we know that it makes money. We know that on that marquee, seeing them too, you're going to get those eyeballs of the people who don't watch wrestling at all. Oh, and there's a third match? How many times we see, like in UFC, you see the different fighters in this 2 or 3 talking about how many matches they had. And people just tune in and get excited. Don't know anything about it. Don't know who they battled since the last time they battled each other. But they just know that there is this rivalry that we have to watch. It's a finality to it. We know that that is money-wise for business is a better match. We can argue which one is going to be a better match, ring psychology and dancing in the ring. But just marquee and money making, we know that that Roman Cody 3 would be the bigger match business wise. I'm hearing that you're saying that this political gamesmanship is coming from Triple H.
I think it is political gamesmanship, maybe from everybody. And what I mean by that is, so let's take the participants before we get to Triple H. And I'm spitballing. Okay. Cody Rhodes. This was the second time that he politicked to drop the title to Drew. First time was at WrestlePalooza back in October. I believe it was October. And then now.
Well, WrestlePalooza, I knew that, yeah.
And then what they kind of talked about was Cody felt like him going into Mania, chasing the title, would have things fresh. And we'll get to Cody when we do a quick preview of Saturday night's main event. Was his thing, let me drop it to Drew because that's the story. Story is not me and Roman. Because if I drop it to Drew on some shenanigans and I got to go through the Rumble, right, do that whole thing, I should get my shot again at WrestleMania. I'm QB1. I don't know where this leaves Roman. Some people would say, oh, Roman doesn't need the title. Okay. I would argue and say, I think that everything that has been done with Roman was leading to a title match with either CM Punk or Cody Rhodes. They scrapped him and Braun Breaker. They scrapped him and Jacob Fatu.
Mm-hmm.
So neither one of those are happening at WrestleMania.
Well, the last thing we saw was him and Cody. Him being
Correct.
Roman.
So now you're going to have to completely reverse course again, the same way you had to with Roman last year at WrestleMania. Very interesting with where he now is at in the lead up to the Rumble, in the lead up to WrestleMania. Unless you put him in the title picture on Raw, which does not make sense. You could do CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. And if we do CM Punk versus Roman Reigns, okay, I'm sure they'll figure out a way then to connect the vision and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's the play. So that's just really interesting that they don't have a spot for like your other major big dog, pun intended. So then that leads me to Triple H.
So real quick, you trying to say Cody's icing Roman Reigns? That's a caption. Cody's icing Roman Reigns. Go ahead.
Could this be a thing of Triple H just not wanting to deal with who's going to go over, what makes the most sense?
The measuring.
So
yeah.
I'll say audience fatigue. Because maybe we're not ready to pull the heel turn for Cody. Well, we know they're not. Wishful thinking. I don't want to deal with it. I don't need to deal with it because anything we have Cody do is going to pop. We do have a plan for Cody. There is this Jacob Fatu. There still is the Drew McIntyre piece. Roman is the odd man out on this. And I've just never seen, and Roman was the top guy for a long, long time, even when he was part-time. It's just very interesting to me that your top guy, your other top guy, is being left out of the top programs for WrestleMania. That just tells me there's a lot happening backstage. I could be completely off. But when I saw the example of, or the reasoning of being audience fatigue, like they just hadn't ran Cody and Drew since October. Here it is January, and now that's the rumored match at WrestleMania? I just don't believe that.
And I think he found a legitimate excuse, he being Triple H, and he's running with it. And like you said, it could just be like he just don't want to be bothered with it this year. The measuring, I just don't want to be bothered with that storyline. I don't want to. We've been writing. We spent so many nights yelling and arguing to each other how this is going to work and blah blah. I don't want to deal with that this year. It is a legitimate thing. There is legitimate wrestling watcher fan fatigue of seeing them two at the top of the card, because when they are at the top of the card, it almost felt like everything else just fell out. We talked about that for so many times that outside of the top two feuds, campaigns is going on, nothing else is going on. We don't even give a crap about the rest of the stuff. So there is truth in it. Now, he may just be using that. He, again, being Triple H, using that as an excuse. But there is some truth in that. And I'm with it if that's not what we're going to get. I'm okay with that. It just needs to make a little bit of sense. I don't want Cody winning the Rumble again. I don't. Because then I'm fatigued with that.
Well, it'll be the third time winner.
Yeah. I'll be fatigued with that.
On his promo.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what they do. I just don't want it to turn into. The biggest thing for me was that's just the money match. And I'm not going to continue to belabor that point. But what I don't want to do is feel like things are meshed together and thrown together like last year's night one WrestleMania main event was. You know, it was
incredible
like
match.
It was like a Paul Heyman on a pole match, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't worthy of main eventing night one of WrestleMania. The match absolutely was. The three people in that match absolutely deserved the WrestleMania main event. But that's why I said last week, okay, if you have said in the first week, second week of January, you have the top of the card fleshed out, you got 2.5 months. Nothing better feel like it's rushed or thrown together, because this is what y'all decided on. There ain't no excuse about, well, we didn't have Rock this year. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever was going around last year. You know, like, I don't want to hear none of that.
Yep.
I don't want to hear none of that. So, but yeah, just my thoughts on that. But yeah, as of right now, I'm not intrigued to see either one of those as a night 1 or night 2 main event. I'm not.
I will share this with you and I'm not against it, but I will share this, that if you go with that latter of the options, the triple threat, and you introduce Jacob Fatu into the main event, night 2, you got a lot more cooking to do with him. And his interference in the cage match, or the 3 phases of hell, whatever it's called, that is a great start. I will say that. That is a great start. But that would have to continue. You're going to have to heat him up, in my eyes and my fandom. You're going to have to heat Jacob up enough, again, to be worthy, to use that proverbial word, worthy of being main event night 2. You have to. Otherwise, I would feel like that was thrown together.
Well, we'll get to Jacob when we talk about Saturday night's main event. We will talk about that. Something else that broke, actually, the night after we potted, or the night we potted, I think. Powerhouse Hobbs is joining and going to WWE. It was interesting just how, like, things come out, right? Like 2 weeks ago, there was a report that came out that WWE is high on Hobbs. The next week he signs. Yeah, I guess they're really high on him. So high that he's going to be there in the next week. His contract was up Wednesday night at midnight, I think. So I know he dropped the trios titles on Collision this past week, which was taped, I think, with Dynamite, or maybe the next day, whatever. But it wasn't. I don't think it was live. So he's up. He's done. And word is he's going to be at the Royal Rumble. I'm happy
Tony
for
didn't
Hobbs.
have like those 90 days of non-compete in there in his contracts?
No, contract was just up. So he's free to go wherever. Free to go wherever.
Got it.
So, of course, I'm happy for anybody who gets to go wherever they want to go, right? The same way I was super happy for Ricochet leaving WWE to go to AEW. I'm super happy for Hobbs. You know, I will say, if they're that high on him, great. But outside of Penta, there hasn't been many AEW to WWE people that's really hit.
But in fairness, Penta has been the only one, again, minus Cody Rhodes and CM Punk, but they were originally WWE. There hasn't been anybody else who has came from there that went straight to main roster. So that's not quite fair. Yeah, we haven't. No, but Rusev was already originally WWE. I don't think we've had enough time to be able to make that a valid point, because those people that came over are in developmental right now in NXT.
Well, I think it's a valid point, because if we were to pull up right now wrestlers who came from WWE to AEW, and vice versa, more wrestlers, I think, have panned out in AEW's favor than in WWE's favor. I don't think we run into that with Hobbs, probably. We'll see. But if they're high on him, you know, like the people who haven't really worked out, we didn't get a report that they're really high on X person. And that's why I'm excited for him. But I think they probably, of course, they should have a vision for him and where they want to plug him into. But I'm excited for him. I'm excited to see. I think he's put his time in. You know, I saw a lot of people on social media saying, you know, this is a, you know, fumble on TK's part, Tony Khan. I mean, you could say it's a fumble because he never made him world champion, you know, where he had him pegged at. But he had been on TV. So this ain't one of those, like, person wasn't being utilized, you know, a lot. And, hey, time to go. I mean, he literally was in ops with, you know, I'm going to call him Fat Joe, Samoa Joe, and Hook every single week. Like, he was being utilized. trios, titles. Take that for what it's worth, whatever, however you would feel like their their title situation in AEW. But it should be fun. I mean, it's gonna be good. It's gonna give us some fresh matchups for sure. But I am excited to see what Hobbs does in WWE.
I would say that that original, run of Powerhouse, with him not winning, it then at that point, he had a really hard time connecting with the fans, I felt, after that. I don't know if he had got injured and he came back, but then we going through the Book of Hobbs and, like, that whole stuff just never I feel like just never truly connected to a lot of the fans, and that's the reason why we kept seeing him just keep reinventing the same character over and over and over again, and then that led him to now into the trios competition where he should have. So, yeah, I think TK did drop the ball with Powerhouse and Hobbs in the beginning, but then after that, it was just also him just not being able to connect with the crowd. And part of that has to go on the talent.
We will see. Interesting. Talking about talent, and I don't have much from Raw, but I do have to shout out CM Punk and Finn Balor for their main event on Raw Monday. We talked last week and said Finn ain't got a shot, but it
Virgo.
doesn't matter, right? Before I get to my praise of CM Punk, it's time for you to apologize.
Who?
You.
Who you talking to?
It's time for you to give Phil credit. You said a month ago this title reign was not good, and I said, well, can you please wait? He hadn't even defended the title yet. They did War Games. He was selling an injury. All eyes was going to be on first week of January for Raw. And 2 out of 3 weeks, he has defended the title on Raw in both starkly different types of matches. And we talked about the match with him and Braun Breaker, how it was kind of just there, it clicked up toward the end. And I touched on it on the show, but I really didn't deep dive it because I just said that, like, Punk is leading that. And what I loved so much about Raw was those was 2 wrestlers, right? I even tweeted out during the show, like, CM Punk is such an old school wrestler in the best possible way. He is, right? He is literally cut from like the 80s cloth of the professional wrestler and just knowing what to do. You'll see, if you guys haven't watched Unreal yet, his mind for the business, his mind for finishes is second to none. We already talked about, his future, I'm sure, in NXT, if he wants to take it, damn near taking over the Shawn Michaels spot if and when Shawn's ready to hang it up. He's at that level for sure. And maybe he just wants to do main roster, but he has a 100% future when it comes to being an agent and a producer in a mind when it comes to wrestling. But you just watched him on that match on Raw, a little bit playing heel. Of course, they were in Finn's home country. And I even said, I was like, damn, we haven't seen Punk play heel in a long time, which now makes me want to see a
Punk's
Punk
always a
heel
heel.
run to you in your eyes. But that match him and Finn had, tremendous match. He really helped Finn shine in that. Finn busted his ass in that match. Working babyface. It was just such a great match to see, but it was so different than the Braun Breaker match. And that is where I talk a lot about, like, when wrestling is real. That Braun Breaker match was not about having the best possible match. That Braun Breaker match was about CM Punk putting him through the paces of what a main event WWE spot and match is like. Follow me, listen to me, do this, right? That match was not about, hey, Braun, you're out here just to get your shit in and everything's gonna look great until the finish where you don't win. They could have done that, sure. But I can guarantee if you ask Braun Breaker, hey, did you learn a lot in that match with CM Punk? He would say absolutely. Much more so than if that match was geared toward just quote unquote having a good match. And you could see it in a 2-week time span where for this match this week was about having a good match. It was about showing Finn can still belong. And when they do pull this babyface turn for Finn Balor, he is going to be able to do the same things that he was doing before. Theme song and all. He still got it. But you can talk about, of course, Finn and Punk, but you do need to apologize to the Breakfast Club.
I'm not apologizing for shit. First
Of
off,
course.
he did not have a memorable reign as champion up until that point. I'm glad that he listens to the TFW pod and he had some strokes, so he's able to now say, hey, they talking about me not having memorable matches. Now let's move forward. But that match that we saw, I always go to, and I say this all the time, and sorry, I guess this is the auntie check mark that's about to come in. When I watch a match that is like my style of wrestling and is just so great, I have no notes on it. Because one, I almost feel like disrespectful to the match if I'm not giving it my full attention of watching it from beginning to end. Me going down, writing down my notes, remembering certain spots, that kind of stuff. I just don't do in those kind of matches. The only thing I remember truly, the feeling wise, was saying how much I've missed this Finn. Just watching him go in the ring. Yes, Punk was his dance partner. Everything you said about him, sure, I'll give him that. And I'm not saying that lightly. I'm like legitimately, it was an incredible match. Like you said, two totally different styles of matches. And to see that somebody who's feels age can still go in the ring like that, that's pretty impressive. And he didn't look winded at all either. But I'm talking about Finn here. Like, that's why he was that first Universal Champion. Because that is the future he should have had in WWE. Now we know he got injured and we know everything else that happened after that. But watching Finn go in the ring like that, damn, like there's times where I get so mad at him when he in the past where I'm like, Finn, you're not doing nothing. Like, it's like, are you just going through the motions in your career? I think I probably even mentioned that about a year ago. Like, damn, like, Finn, you know the potential that you can do in the ring and the magic you make in the ring. Now I know with the Judgment Day, there's this character you have to play. So certain moves, certain sequences you just can't do. But that right there to me was like, this is what I remember in Finn. Even as the demon or as Finn. That is what I miss from him. Talked about it with Rhea. Sometimes when you see Rhea, when she was champion for a while, she was the big dog. Like, she was just this powerhouse. But when you get to see them just go in the ring, it is just absolutely beautiful. So that's all I can say about that. And then, you know what? Good Punk. Good Punk. Now you putting a couple matches together under your reign. I'm gonna say, okay, that's what I'm talking about. We got it memorable. So instead of the 5 important reigns in 5 years, now I'm gonna throw you in there too. But until then, I ain't apologizing for shit.
Of course, I knew you'd be a hater, as normal. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We're gonna be in next week, and typically we know when these shows don't have any type of correct build, some of the best pay-per-views ever. See Evolution from last year.
Yep.
But holy hell, man, this is next week, and we just not got people saying I'm entering the Royal Rumble. You know, so one of those people was Jey Uso. Yeah, one of those people was Jey Uso. And take out storyline for a second. I pray and hope that everything is good with Trinity Naomi. You know, she's been radio silent, of course, on social media. We know she's been high risk for a pregnancy. And Jay, like out of nowhere, shouted out Trinity by her real name. He didn't say Naomi. And he said, you know, Big Jim, we love y'all. I haven't seen any news on it yet. So, of course, thoughts and prayers to them. First thing I thought was, oh, man, I hope nothing happened with the pregnancy. So I don't even want to put that bad juju out, but he said it. And it's like, if he would have said Naomi's name and not Trinity, not even bring up Naomi, I would have been like, okay, it's a storyline. Because now from a storyline perspective, and who knows what this whole thing looks like with Trinity. Once again, thoughts and prayers. Crossing fingers, everything's good with them. But what I did love about this, now strictly storyline base, is Jay get a couple more wins under his belt. Now he like, hey, I'm back with trying to get to this world title. After being on a losing streak, not finding himself, his brother had to come save him from the depths of depression. He get a couple and Jay like, nah, we back. We back on after this world title.
Let me tell you, he never wanted to be a tag teamer again. Every time when it was first introduced, he's like, with his glasses on. So he's just like, fuck this, fuck. Man, every time, couple times that he was with his brother, yeah, okay, you got some wins. Doesn't matter. He still was just like, yeah, I guess I'm a tag teamer. He don't want to be a tag teamer. Flat out. Point blank.
I did think, so when this first thing happened, if you remember, I did say, like, let's hold off. Let's see what the storyline looks like. Because, and what I said then was, hey, because what if they don't win the tag titles? Well, then what's
Yeah.
that storyline?
Mm-hmm.
Hoping everything's great, that they can still do whatever that their plan is. This still could be that next part that I was talking about. They didn't win the tag titles. They did win the tag titles, and you still are looking at just a solo run. I don't think so, because last week they came out together and they put everybody on notice, if you remember. So that's why I'm a little worried just about, what the real life ramifications can be if everything is not good with them two. But I did think that was great. And then I got to thinking of, like, if they wanted to go down that road, you could say, been there, done that. We don't want to see that again. But if anybody remembers,
Been
the
there, down there
Usos,
for what?
yeah, with their feud, them feuding.
Oh, you mean the SummerSlam match they had?
No, WrestleMania.
Oh, the WrestleMania match they had?
Yeah. We've been there, done that, so we don't need to do that again per se. But I was like, if anybody remembers the Usos entrance theme, it's the exact same thing as Jey Uso's music. Except for it's just me Us. It's day one-ish, same beat. So when they're a tag team,
I thought about the face paint easily Usos. Play. I thought you saw the.
You could easily play their Usos thing. People can still yeet. It's the exact same song, but yet they only play Jay's solo entrance thing. Once again, been there, done that. But if they got some type of brand new spin on what this could look like from a feud, maybe that's Roman's thing. Maybe we get Jimmy versus Jay versus Roman at WrestleMania. We just pick up this whole bloodline civil war. And hell, you know what?
God.
Throw Solo in it.
Oh my
Throw Solo
God.
in it too. Let's go Fatal 4-Way.
No.
Yeah.
Nah, I like Fatal 4-Ways. I do love Fatal 4-Ways. They're like, that's my jam right there. Actually, my tornado tags is number one, and then the Fatal 4-Way. Give me a tornado tag. Like, that is like some of the best chaos that you ever get in wrestling games. That's like the only match that I actually can play because I'm not good at it. So a lot of times I'm just relying on the focusing when we're all four of us is in a match. The focusing kind of end up on somebody else, so they break a pin or break it up to where now I can kind of move and be by myself. But give me a tornado tag or a Fatal 4-Way. I'm all for it. 3-Ways, though, I hate those. Told you, can't stand those. But Fatal 4-Way or tornado tag, that's my jam.
We were just talking about entrance music. I think it's time. What did Rhodesia learn this week in professional wrestling? By chance, if you did not listen or watch the show last week, Rhodesia said her New Year's resolution for wrestling was to be more present and watch wrestling. You guys have heard me say often, Rhodesia does not watch wrestling. She is typically on her phone. She'll say she's doing other stuff. Doesn't matter. But now it has been 3 weeks into the new year, and Rhodesia is watching wrestling. She is present while she's watching wrestling. Rhodesia, what did you learn this week in watching wrestling?
I really, 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 really wish I could play it, but can't play it because copyright issues. I did not know Blake Monroe entrance music to the point where I'm jamming. So Def Rebel, this is, hit or miss. This is a hit for you. This is a hit. I'm listening to it. I'm cooking because, usually I'm cooking in the kitchen while you watching wrestling too. You watch NXT. I'm hearing this music. I'm like, oh, this is my shit. I start twerking and dancing, all that on it. I'm like thinking it's just like their next stand and deliver their actual music. I turn around and say, well, that is her entrance music. Shit goes hard. But I did not know for $1 billion, if you say, Rhodesia, this is somebody's wrestling music, and all of the lyrics points exactly to the glamour. I still would not have known who wrestling music that was. So if you get a chance, well, they already know, so never mind. This is common sense stuff. So
Rhodesia says, "Man, I like that. Who is that?" Says Blake Monroe. "Is that a new song?" No, Rhodesia. It's not a new song. Listening and viewing public, Blake Monroe debuted that song on August 5th of last year. And that was what Rhodesia learned this week in professional wrestling. Good God.
I'm
I
doing
can't wait
better
for
with
week
my
3.
life, though. No,
Can't wait
I'm
for
telling you,
week 3.
this segment's only gonna last probably like real talk. It's probably gonna last like one more month because I'm so dialed in now that within time, I'm gonna know everything. I'm gonna come back like super astute. I would say with glasses on, but I already wear glasses. But I'm gonna come with different kind of glasses on this time. And you're like, oh, okay. And I'm gonna remember everything. My brain's gonna be like an elephant. I'm gonna be able to remember every single thing without having to look at my notes. That'd be next year's resolution, not to have to write notes because I'll be able
Just
to
worry
retain
about
it
just
in
worry
my
about this
brain.
year's resolution. Let's get through 2026. Okay? Let's not worry about 2027. Before we get to Saturday night's main event, just 2 quick things from SmackDown that's not involving Saturday night's main event. Strong worked show. Carmelo Hayes and Leon Slater did the damn thing. Fantastic match. Great showcase for both of them. Very happy for Melo. He's really hitting his groove on the main roster with this IC, or not IC, but US challenge that he's doing and working every
Open
single
challenge,
week.
yep.
You can just see his confidence and everything. So fantastic. And then Sammy and Dragunov killed it. If you didn't watch internationally, you didn't see during the commercial break, Sammy busts Ilya right in the eye to get some color, and it was a legit shoot. That wasn't a blade job.
Nope.
Got him right,
Hard.
perfectly right on that eye line right there, which is easy to pop if you know what you're doing. Just to add to the graps. Great match. Great match. I figured out Julia. So we talked last week about excited. Took the context out, getting a little bit of that mean streak, a little bit of a mini reset for her. I recognize now why she's not connecting the way she should be.
What's that?
Like and she knows it, so this is not a shot. And I love me some can't remember her name now.
Kiana?
Michin. Yeah, Michin.
Oh.
She knows, she's even said it in the past that
She
she's
said
not
it,
she's not a great promo. Fans can see that. Fans can see who you're portraying is not who you are. It's hard to get behind that, right? And I think that's why she's kind of struggled a little bit, not in the ring, but the personality piece of it and getting, people to get behind her. When I was watching Julia, and she looked incredible Friday night. She looked gorgeous. You can see through her work. In the ring, you can see through her work. Her work is not stiff, and everything doesn't have to be stiff. I'm not saying that she needs to go out there and potato everybody, but there is a difference from working, snug. She doesn't even have to work snug, but I shouldn't be able to see through the majority of moves. And when I say see through, I can tell that you're not trying to hurt them. You're not trying to hit them as hard as you can. And there was a lot of that in that match. And it was a tag match with her and Kiana.
And who she's going against, you shouldn't have to worry about that.
Yep.
And Alexa and Charlotte, they're veterans. They can handle it.
Yep. And I've always said, like, your top people, women, it doesn't matter, male, female, whatever. You can't see through their work, which is one of the reasons why they're the top people, right? So they just got to continue to work with her. I still think there's a ton of. I mean, hell, look how long you really got Io going on the main roster.
Yeah.
It took Rhea a couple.
And she's
years.
a superstar. Yep.
right? I mean, so there's, of course, the runway is there. It looks like they're committed to her for sure, which is a good thing because they need her. They need her on SmackDown. I mean, they need her just overall in WWE. She's that good of a talent.
You think Kiana's too attractive being teamed with Julia? That has taken away some of her shine, her light?
I, I don't. I just think it just doesn't. I mean, me personally, it doesn't mesh well. I get it. I get she's a representation, so she doesn't have to be, Japanese or Asian or anything like that. They can be stark contrast, but I get why she's the mouthpiece, of course. Manager, that can work. I get everything on it. But when I see it, I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I want Kiana looking like, more masculine at all, but when I see her, she looks like the typical manager woman manager working for male talent,
Hmm.
and that's kinda is a little throwing me off a little bit. But they finally got matching gear. Oh, that could have been what Rhodesia's learned this week, but no, that just happened this week, so never mind. They got matching gear. I was like, "Look at the 2 of them. They actually working at this." Again, that match to me, I thought was just kinda there. Wasn't as good as the match, the week before, but I could still see a little bit of her aggression there.
Yeah. Do you have the Saturday's main event card in front of you
Y Yeah, there's only 3 matches announced right now.
so far?
Mhm. Yep.
You want to go over those
Yeah.
matches just real quick?
Let's go. Let's go over it. We'll start off, with the women's tag team match.
Okay.
At this point, I just want Rhea and Io to have a full-blown makeout session. Like, real talk. Like, you know what? I ain't about to do that. I don't wanna belabor my issue with this because hopefully this is gonna pay off to some really good rivalry again between the 2 of them, and we'll get there, and then whatever. But we have tag team women's match. We have Rio versus A&A. Who you want to win? Or who do you
so
want
here's
to
the thing
win?
about
You think it's gonna win?
so here's the thing about this entire card. And you'll see. But like, I was even kind of going back and forth on should we preview it because I don't even know if they've given us enough to preview. Like, I'm not big into like just giving out like, hey, who do you think is gonna win? I don't know like how entertaining that is for people who are listening. I'm sure they, of course, care what we think, but like this one here, for me, it's a situation of, and this is going to be a scapegoat answer, but like, what was the plan for Rio? What's the plan for them when they became a tag team to win the titles? Was for what? Right? Like that's the question. Was it to put the titles on them just so A&A can win it off of them? Because you wouldn't
That
have
could be
Liv
it. It could
and
have been
Roxanne
transitional, yeah.
fight the Kabuki Warriors, but you could. You could have done that. Liv is going to get pops. I mean, Liv's damn near a babyface. I don't think nobody's really booing Liv Morgan. They're not.
Yeah.
So you could have done heel versus heel if the plan was to put the titles on Roxanne and Liv. So if that's the plan, hey, that's the plan. Cool, let's do that. And you got the Royal Rumble. Do we really want Rio holding tag titles going in and out of the Royal Rumble? I don't know. I go back to Finn lost. There's a reason why Finn was in that match with Punk. There's a reason why
Raquel
we
has a match coming
have
up.
A&A against the women for the tag
Rio.
titles, and then we got Raquel feuding with Stephanie Vicure. And Dom has holding 2 belts. It's got to be a reason for that. Doesn't mean it has to be cashed in on Saturday Night's Main Event. We've seen plenty of times it's a Saturday Night's Main Event and then they do a rematch. You know what I mean? Like, hell, last year's WrestleMania, Liv and Raquel lost their tag titles at WrestleMania. They won them back the next night. So
Mhm.
that's the thing. Like with so much TV now, it's like it's hard to call these things because you could be completely wrong on a Saturday, and then what you said was going to happen on Saturday happened on a Monday, or vice versa. So for me, it's more of if it was me, once again, not knowing which way they're going, Give me the implosion of Finn out of the Judgment, and that starts with Io and Rhea losing to ANA.
I'm down with that. Hey, Elephant, just to make sure. For the record, Rhea has still haven't beaten Io, has she?
Oh, I can't remember. I can't remember.
I knew up until the like mid of last year, she was still undefeated. Well, meaning she still never beat Io. If
Okay.
this could be the implosion of the two of them, and again, that's the reason why they've been so extra best friendsy with each other, then I'm down for it. I love the whole Judgment Day storyline, the hold and go thing that you talk about. That's cool. But if this can be the beginning of getting us to have Rhea and Io go at it again with each other, because I think they're great in wrestling, I would want them to drop it just for that
See,
purpose.
all right. So
Otherwise,
let's
I
so
don't want them to return.
let's argue that real quick.
Okay.
You can have a match, but what type of match do you want to see from them? We saw them at Mania last year, including
Uh-huh.
Bianca.
Mhm.
We saw them
Mhm.
at Evolution, both incredible matches.
Uh-huh.
I say that triple threat match is probably the best opening match in WrestleMania history.
Yep.
We know what Evolution was with those two.
Yep.
They are so friendly. Even them feuding, quote unquote, over a championship shouldn't break them up. Like, so if we're going to go down the realm of now they're enemies, something drastic
Mhm.
is going to have to happen. And I don't even know what that drastic could be unless somebody turns their
Rhea
back
could
on
lose
the
her
other one.
mind. Yeah, Rhea is such a big star. We've talked about how many times she has transcended, like, not being called a woman's wrestler. She's just, like, the top wrestler. She can absolutely flip the script and turn into a straight mean girl. She was a Judgment Day for how long? I could so see that, and I wouldn't be fatigued with the two of them going against each other. I think that Rhea needs a strong person there, and so does Io need a strong person, singles opponent there. If it was to drop the title, take the titles from Kabuki Warriors to make it more prestige, to then redrop it to ANA, I think that that's perfectly fine. I would have no problem with them dropping that title that quick. I don't really want to see Rio continue as tag champions. Is it also because I think it's beneath them? Maybe subconsciously I feel that way. Maybe I think that they're bigger than tag team championships. Maybe that's why I feel this way too about it. Maybe that's just probably why I feel completely this way about it. Like, they don't need to be tag teamers. They're strong enough in their own right. Like, don't do that. Just like when they had brought Stephanie Vaquera and Julia in to begin with into the main roster. Like, you didn't have to
Mm-hmm.
bring the two of them in together. I understand maybe is if it's easier to consume both of them and then you can separate. I thought that that was a epic bomb failure for me to bring them in separately. That's the reason why Stephanie outshined Julia. Not to try to say that Stephanie is a better worker than Julia. I'm not saying that, or I'm not saying that or not saying that. The point is that when they brought them in together, they were too strong enough on their own to have their own careers. They didn't need to be introduced that way. So that's kind of maybe where I'm feeling deep down inside, maybe with Rio, that they don't need to be together.
Well, it served its purpose. That's why I enjoyed them together, because because what else do you do with them if they're not going to be in the main title run, right? They both are so high at the top of that women's division that if they're not challenging for a championship and there's not a blood feud for them to have, this was perfect. This was perfect. So now, hey, if we're heating up WrestleMania and they're going to be in individual solo matches, or even if they're in, I mean, I don't think they would work another WrestleMania match, but whatever the plan is, if it's
Mhm.
not them being a tag team, mission accomplished. If now we get through Royal Rumble and now it's time for them to, kind of do their own thing. What's
All
next?
right, next match. We're gonna go on to. I'm gonna save the best for last. We're gonna go
Okay.
to the Fatal Four Way. So we have Randy Orton, Sami Zayn, Trick Dollar or Trick Willie is what he goes by now, and
Hmm.
Damian Priest. All for the number one contendership for Royal Rumble. Who do you like? Want to win? Blah blah blah.
The easy money is Sami Zayn. Holy hell. Sami Zayn in Saudi fighting Drew McIntyre. Give me that 2.99 kick out. And that crowd absolutely loses their mind. Holy hell, are you serious? Now, and that's coming, and he's not going to, I don't think Sammy's going to win at Rumble. Anybody who's been listening to us, I said last year, I had this WrestleMania marked as Sami Zayn winning the world title. And now, it's probably not in the cards for him, but this is a pretty cool consolation prize right now. And that's not to say he can't win it later on in the year, but Sami Zayn and Drew in Saudi, I mean, that writes itself. Completely writes itself. Now, I don't know now if we have now got the peek behind the curtain and it's going to be Trick and Orton as a feud next. That should be interesting to see. But man, you want to talk about Trick Williams. 2 weeks in on the main roster. And getting the biggest reactions on the show. In-ring promo with Orton. Oh, no, that was last week. This week, he had a promo backstage, and he finishes the show when there wasn't a need for him to jump Sammy after Sammy beat Dragunov. Boy, but that's why I talk so much about presentation and production all the time, because it really, at the end of the day, that is what wrestling is. It's production and presentation. And if you look at somebody like Trick Williams, if you've never seen Trick before in NXT, there is no way you're not thinking about Trick Williams because of those reactions he's getting, right? Like, and then if you think about, we talked earlier about theme music. Theme music, and I put theme music into presentation, 100%.
Absolutely, yeah. You set the stage before that person comes out.
And that may be the biggest catalyst to making somebody in wrestling. Look at Kit Wilson. He's got a new theme song that is fire. This man is now jumping Matt Cardona. Music stops. He cuts the music back on, struts, and gets a massive pop from the crowd. His entrance music. Fandango. Johnny Curtis. Shout out to Johnny Curtis, just retired this past week. Shout out to him. I remember asking him at Access one year. They just had him all over the place. And I was like, man, like, are you working baby or heel right now? He was like, I don't know, man. You tell me. Shout out to him. Shout out to the legend. I think he had like 20 plus years into the game. But Fandango, you remember how over he was because of his theme song?
Yep. He took over Monday the Raw after Mania that year. Like the whole episode, everybody was either bouncing beach balls or doing the see, actually, how do I even remember that? When was the last time I've seen Fandango? Holy hell, like that right there was just ingrained in my brain.
But Fandango, right.
But I'm talking about that song.
Decade plus or whatever. Correct. It's been a long time.
I haven't heard that.
It's been a long time. And every top girl or guy has that song. Right? Like they have that song. And it's just Trick Williams is synonymous with Whoop That Trick, that song.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If
he has any other music, he is not getting that type of reaction.
That's true. Yeah.
You even look at Obafemi when he comes in, right? The dun, dun, who, right? That's part of what is going to be, we're here to, ooh. Just like we're here to yeet. And we're here to scream, burn it down, right? Yeah. We're here to sing Seth's song. We're here to do the yes.
The glamour.
Like, it is very clear and clean on what you need. And part of it is music. And that's why I can't wait for them to do Braun Breaker right. I don't know how that man hasn't had pyro yet. I don't know, like, everybody can't have that song. Code of Personality, right? Everybody sings that. I mean, this music and presentation production is by far probably the most important thing to have outside of the look that you can do. But for me, in that four-way, yeah, give me Sammy.
I like that. I can be persuaded to that. I was just thinking of Orton. Why would you say that? I thought that it could just be Orton wins it, and then now that could be an option for Cody. And Cody wins the Rumble. He can go challenge it because he said Randy checked him and said blah blah blah. Just so you know, I'm coming after it because I think he even made a comment about stabbing in the front. That probably was on Unreal, but point is, I can see Cody going after Orton for the championship again. But that's just me, just off the top of the head. I don't think that makes full sense. If you have a face versus face, is that even worth it? I don't know how that works, but I would like to eventually see the two of them go at each other. Just kind of how we had said before, like all those people who came up to Cody and said, "Oh, hey, I love you, you're my friend, but I'm gonna come get that title." So that would be what I had landed on. But hearing you talking about Sammy and being able to do that in Saudi, that is a visual. That could be a spectacle. I do wanna touch on Trick just really quickly because I've been critical on Trick before prior to main roster. When we talk about the character, you mentioned the presentation and, like, where some people I've talked about before, where they don't connect with their crowd because we've talked about it, like you said, like, you're not really yourself. You kinda don't even really believe what you're actually saying. Trick personality, character feels like that could be him just turned all the way up. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where it sounds real,
But that's
and
why
that's
it
where it's
works.
real, and that's
Yep.
where we're about to talk about really quickly just with Javon Evans. And you do such a great job at talking about Javon Evans and holding him to, this level of brilliancy at such a young age, but this is who you are. You just yeah, you have to make sure it fits production, you gotta make sure it sells, you gotta make sure that they can put money and invest in you, but just let it be you turned all the way up. And that's the reason why when Trick had those 2 promos that was pretty long, I didn't see how long the actual promos were. That's a really high spot to be in so quick on main roster to have those really 2 big spots and where I didn't feel like, "Oh, Trick, you're losing it." Or maybe I could've, but it didn't matter because it was him still talking, him being him, just turned all the way up. And that is what connects with the crowd. So when you go on 3 minutes against a Orton, people still can rock with you because you are really speaking from inside.
3 weeks in, he's in a fatal four-way match to see who's going to challenge the heavyweight champion at Royal Rumble. That's a strong start. That is
Yep.
a strong start. And when that whoop that trick hits at the Rumble, that's gonna be a moment too. And shout out to Javon. You brought up Javon. I know like a scary
Mhm.
moment on Raw. But they said it looks like Jessica Carr stopped the match because she thought he may have had a concussion, and they clashed heads. Him and Americano had to be
Early.
the first minute of that match. So whatever
Mhm.
she saw, of course they said there was no heat on her. They thought she did the right thing, but yeah, it wasn't the shoulder. They said that it looks like he is okay, which was a good thing. But I was like, yo, not right now. Like,
Yeah.
not right now. So that's a good thing. But yeah, I mean, he's another one, man. Like, just the authenticness, like, and that's one of the things that we have to shout out WWE for. And I will get to that more in next week when we talk about Unreal. Um, say what you want about Triple H's creative last year. We all know WWE is worlds better than what it was prior. We probably can stop belaboring that point. I don't think it ever gets that bad again. But just the amount of autonomy and a little bit of leeway they allow the performers now that was not a thing prior. And you can just feel it on the show and in the show. The things that Javon Evans says, ain't nobody in that writer's room writing for him.
No.
They're not,
No.
right?
No.
Hey, look, we
They're
need
not.
you to get to, you guys are going to have a match tonight, right? And we need you to hit
Yep.
the line of young OG, blah, blah, blah. Other than that, man, go be you. Go do you for 45 seconds, So, but yeah. All right. And the only other match right now is Cody and Jacob, right?
And Jacob, that is it.
And how in the world are you gonna have a finish on this, right? Like if this, you
I
neither person can take
it
a
this is
pin,
yeah.
right?
I
Like
just feel
this
this
is
is
this
just
is
so
count out
quick.
DQ, finish city all over the place. So this one now we can just talk about like the whole, like now let's talk about like the scope, right? SmackDown. That promo Cody hit on SmackDown, and that guy is just so good. Like he goes from that crowd booing him to the crowd ready to
Booing
cry
him.
and hand over their babies to him so he can hold him and kiss him by the end of that promo segment. And we've seen him do it each and every time he gets a little bit of resistance. Comes out and talks about, he's been a little predictable lately. I come out here and do the same thing, et cetera, et cetera. But boy, he's just so damn good, man. Yes, I still want him as a heel. I do. The only problem that I had, and I don't know if this is me being super critical, you tell me. You lost your championship due to Jacob Fatu. Yes, Drew McIntyre put in the clause in the contract that there was no rematch. So you still have a beef with Drew. But if it wasn't for Jacob Fatu, I'm probably was going to win, even though he wasn't because Drew was about to leave out the cage. But whatever, right? He tells Jacob, you got a receipt coming next time I see you. We didn't get a receipt. That was my really big problem with that. Now they're going to sell it as the receipt is coming on Saturday night's main event.
Yeah.
I needed way more than a pull apart brawl that landed 5 punches. If we're going to get to the point where we're doing insider stuff and we cut that hell of an edgy promo to say you got a receipt coming just for me to throw 5 punches or whatever it was and that's it, that ain't enough. And lastly, did we just forget to book a promo segment for Jacob? We still don't know why he showed up and did what he did. And I'm all about, you don't have to have Jacob be, I don't need Jacob going out cutting weekly promos. But damn, can you please give me a second to tell me why you interfered in that match and attacked both people? Or why you attacked Cody? He came out to just address Cody calling him out. Well, how about you just tell us why you did what you did? Especially when Drew said, and I love how he just threw it in there, when he was talking to, I forgot who was backstage. It may have been Nick Aldis, where he said, I wasn't the one that attacked Jacob. And it was just part of what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like, it wasn't an inflection in it. It wasn't the statement. It was just, and I didn't attack Jacob and blah, 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 blah.
Matter of fact, yeah.
I would have loved to heard from Jacob, and I know it's probably coming, right? But like, that just doesn't add up to me. That Jacob promo, if you want to do him still being the Samoan werewolf where he's just running through everything, okay. You could have showed him show up and just attacking people. And then imagine, and yes, the story is, I know Cody has to talk. He lost the title. We're setting up Jacob. But the bigger thing is he lost the title. Say you're going into the Royal Rumble. But that would have came across so much better to me. Jacob shows up like a wild man. Maybe Nick Aldis confronts him. Say you ruined last week's main event, right? Jacob, I do what I want to do. Okay. You don't know why I did it. Says that. Cody puts the boots to him. Cheer, whatever that looks like, right? Now they're brawling. Now we go from that immediately to Cody cutting his promo. Now when Cody hits the line about the receipt, and I know somebody's probably like, man, you are tripping over just this one line about the receipt. But for me, when you use words like that, I need it immediately. You can't tell me you're going to give him the receipt, but you've already put hands on me. That ain't how receipts work. I just think that would have flowed much better. If you want to protect Jacob from not saying why he attacked Cody. That's it.
I think you are absolutely tripping on that. I feel like I remember the whole receipt thing. The word was never used receipt, but I remember the feeling inside me as a fandom watching it when Swerve touched that man's baby. Actually, he didn't touch the baby, but that's what I've been saying. When he had went and touched and put his merch inside of the crib of Hangman's baby, I said on sight, Hangman should have laid Swerve out, and he didn't.
Yeah, he did. He burned his house down.
But that wasn't immediately though. That wasn't immediately. I said on site. So I think the whole thing, if I was able to get past that, which I evidently isn't past it, I'm completely okay with them saying the receipt because we did get the explanation of a receipt. That receipt was we got a little bit of brawling, but then hey, no, we're going to actually have a match. So I'm 100% okay with that. I think you are tripping. My issue, and I think it was to your point, like I don't even know how this happened. And I'm still a little bit confused of why we're here. I am going to just watch Saturday night's main event and I'm going to see kind of the story they're going to keep telling. But I am a little bit confused. This is kind of like a surprise. And I don't know if it's like a great surprise. I just don't know yet. So I'm just more of like a bit at a point of I'm confused. But I'm here to see
You
kind of
young
how
buck
this
right now?
plays out. I'm wrong. I'm confused. I'm wrong. But again, if we gonna have Jacob, Drew, Cody at Mania, you gonna have to make sure that Jacob is that old, mysterious werewolf. And hey, maybe this is that. Maybe this is that. Him not having a full explanation. Maybe that is that mysterious aura that I was talking about before. But you gotta make sure that you keep him there because otherwise, he doesn't deserve. He doesn't. Again, that deserve word is really strong, right? He doesn't deserve to be main event second night. Not yet.
7 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes, 10 minutes. It don't matter. This has to be like DQ. DQ or count out. You just can't have a finish to this. You can't, and that's fine. There's times where there's not a need for a finish. You got the Rumble next week. Let's lead up to the big spot where they both touch again in the match. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Sunday's main event should be good though. I do like the card. It's just crazy because like they just have so many shows that we got Saturday night's main event.
I used to
and
keep
then we got Royal
up until
Rumble next week. Like, man,
real quick, up until
nothing can breathe.
this episode or the week before, I was keeping track on how many Saturday night's main events there have been in the last 365 days. And I kept it up because I said I'm gonna bring it up one day. And then last week I said, fuck it, I'm just gonna delete it. But it was so many. Because to me, it felt like it. Because remember, I wasn't watching wrestling. I wasn't always present.
Mhm.
I look up and there's another Saturday night's main event. And so I had to actually look to see how many they were. And there have been a lot. And this is not a good thing. This is not a good thing having all these PLEs. We saw it before with a whole bunch of pay-per-views or weekly shows that was titled and named. And this
Well, it's
isn't
only not a good
always
thing
good.
because we want things to breathe. That's all. It's not because these shows haven't been good. Now, Saturday's main event, there's been some shows that's like, man, this felt like a little bit like a glorified house show a little bit. But it's still
Or
entertaining
it's just
for
for
that
the one
time.
match. It's always just like
Yeah,
that
it's just,
one match
it's just
of that night.
it's dumb entertainment. What I mean by dumb entertainment, like if you missed it, okay, but if you watched it, you wouldn't say like that was a waste of my time. Cool. Got a chance to watch some wrestling on a Saturday night, keep it moving. That's the issue. Because like right now it kind of feels like either some of the stories are taking way too long to finish or some don't get a chance to breathe at all. That's all. And for the Rumble, we all are going to watch the Rumble anyway. And this could be their mindset. You're not selling the Royal Rumble.
You don't have to, right?
Right? Like,
well, clearly, because we just finally got the entrance.
This show is going to be watched by everybody who watches wrestling anyway. So not having a match or matches announced before, not putting a lot of, everybody knows what the Rumble is. Whoever wins the Rumble is going to WrestleMania main event. Okay. That could just be the selling point. And then, hey, we got a week to sell it after that. So it is just crazy, though, because the Rumble is arguably some people's favorite pay-per-view of the year. It's, second or third biggest of the year. And we're sitting here, like literally a week before and ain't too much motion for it. Not that we're not excited for it, but people are just now putting their name into the hat. So, Real quick before we get out of here, I do want to bring up a couple of AEW items. First, shout out to the Rascals. The same time we hear that Powerhouse Hobbs is leaving the territory, the Rascals are coming in. So they had a fun little backstage shot on TV, which was great. Showed them smoking out the locker room and just saying that they're here. So we initially it was going to be all four of them. And then word came out through Trey Miguel that he's not going to be there. And then it sounds like from a message he put on Facebook, I think 10 years ago, which is so wild that people are being held to something they said 10 years ago, but made a comment to somebody. It was a clap back, and I guess he went in on him. I guess he called him gay and, the reason why they were gay and et cetera, et cetera. So he spoke out, about that. He apologized on it. But I guess the word came from either WB or somebody that they didn't want him under contract. Sounds like there's some irritation and some upsetness with AEW talent that he's not allowed to be there due to things that he said. But then there's others who are under contract. Kind of saw the same thing with the Briscoes at one point.
Yep.
It sucks because Trey would have been great in AEW. Of course you got to be careful what you say, right? But you're talking about he's a young kid now. Talking about like something that he said that long ago, like man, that's insane. But that's the story. But I really enjoyed Dynamite last week. We got MJF and Bandito, which was a great match. That was really going to be my match of the week before we got to SmackDown. And then I saw Carmelo and Leon Slater. I give that match the nod over Sammy and Dragunov.
Ooh.
For me. I do. I think that was the best match of the week last week. But that match was great. The production, they had a A1 night in production. Camera shots, lighting, the venue looked great. Shout out to our guys, Gimmick Infringement. I think both my guys was in the building for that show. It was in Phoenix, so anytime they're in Phoenix, they show up. So I know you guys had a good time in the building, but everything looked great. So I was really impressed with Dynamite. I do want to say two things. One, Kenny Omega was talking to you and Matt, Rhodesia. Kenny came out and cut a promo and basically said, like, look, I know what people are saying.
Listen to TFW
and every single time you and Matt talk about Kenny, one, you talk about how his old theme song is better than his new theme song. It's just complete disrespect.
It's complete trash.
And the second thing you guys both talk about is that Kenny ain't Kenny no more. Kenny ain't Kenny no more. I can't wait for Kenny to show y'all. Starting tonight on Dynamite, he's got Josh Alexander. I can't wait for this run where Kenny shows he's back to being the Kenny of old to get that match with MJF for the world title. Now, I never thought I'd see the day where you be hating on Kenny Omega and CM Punk. Boy, God bless. And last thing, Darby Allin. Darby Allin needs to be like on a, in basketball, they have this thing called like minutes restriction. Right? Typically it's reserved for people who are just come back from injury.
The superstars. Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that too.
Yeah. And that's typically what is protect themselves.
Darby Allin you want to go far in the playoffs.
Well, that's different. That's not a minute restriction. They were sitting people back in the day. Right? They're trying to get away from that now. I'm talking about, hey, you're showing up to play, but you may only be able to go 20 minutes today, 18 minutes today. Right? Darby needs to be on a bump restriction. And Tony Khan needs to sit him down the first of every month. Say, all right, Darby, we got you working
This was your
3 matches this month.
Here's your allotment.
You got one big bump. Total. For the month. What's your one big bump? And I would have a complete spreadsheet PowerPoint presentation for Mr. Allen and letting him know what is characterized as a big bump. Because I'm sure he would ask. And the answer would be everything you do in your matches is a big bump.
Exactly.
If it ain't a clothesline, a suplex, a submission move, you can only do one of those, Mr. Allen. He took a suplex from Pac on Dynamite outside the ring onto the steel steps. Now, safer than what it looks like at first. You know, as long as your feet hit the steel steps first and not your lower back, you should be okay. But you're still hitting your lower back, right? And it's just like, man, we doing that bump for like the 9, jumping in the ring, the 9 count? Come on, Darby. I love Darby. Of course you know that. But I just want those bumps to breathe. That's all. Like, I don't want him to go out one day way too early. And like he's known now as just like the car crash guy. Which there's a spot for that. That's fine. But I just wish like I want those spots to last. That's all.
The irony of this all, you and I haven't even talked about it. I'm going to read to you a quote from Darby. I like to watch wrestling matches that really stands out without a lot of moves because I'm not a fan of doing 100 big moves a match. It's fun to see the emotion and how they carry themselves through a match without relying on big moves or big false finishes. I just watch how they pace things back then. I rather sell and do my thing as have emotions. When I saw this, it was an interview he did with the Orlando Sentinel.
When?
Fightful Wrestling put this out on Twitter a couple days ago that this is a quote from Darby. And when I read this, I had to take a snapshot of it. I had to do a screenshot on my iPhone because I said, there is no way in hell that Mr. Darby
Allin from AEW All Elite Wrestling was the quote. Not some like Darby Allin lawyer somewhere.
No, I was like, the pot calling the kettle black. Like, what? Like, this has to be like a joke. But no, per the Orlando Sentinel, this was an
Darby's
interview
like,
that
man,
he said that was his quote.
Darby said, you can keep your figure 4 leg locks, your triple suplexes. You can keep all those moves. No, give me 5 moves where we paralyze each other, and that's where it's at.
And that's exactly what I thought. I'm like, listen, okay, so if we're getting technical with the 100 moves, I mean, he said big moves. But what he doesn't realize is for every one of his moves, it's like 25 big moves. So again, that's the still steps thing. Like, you still put in that kind of work. But it's good to know that he also likes the opposite of what he does. I guess he's a true wrestling fan. But when I saw that, I was like, oh my God. And you brought that up. I was like, oh my God, I gotta read this quote to you.
That's crazy. Come on, Darby. They need to find him and say, hey, is there like a second quote? Did the interviewer say like, hey, Darby, we've actually watched your matches.
I'll report
and
more.
It seems to us you do the equivalent of 2,000 bumps a match on your body. Could you like to elaborate? Or they just show him like all his crazy bumps? That? They just show them all, right? Well, here it is, Darby, you falling off the top of the stage onto a table. Here, Darby, here's one of you falling off the ladder onto a glass of paint. Darby, here's one of you taking a suplex onto 2 chairs on the top of the chair. Right, they just show them all. And then just say like, would you like to
all in the same match?
That's crazy, man. Oh.
If I find more context on it, I will report back here. But when I saw that, I said, oh, hell no.
Yeah,
hell no, you didn't just say that.
All right. We did it, right? You got anything else?
Don't want to end the show kind of negative, but I'm so mad. That is how we got Natalya on Raw TV. You've been away for some time, and I just knew the natty would show up. Yeah, you can say, well, she showed up indirectly by costing the match. No, I wanted the character itself. The first time I saw Natalya on my television again, I wanted to see her as Natty. And I just feel they dropped the ball on that.
Can't do it, baby cakes. That's a complete disconnect for the WWE audience. They would have no idea why she showed up with her hair braided, et cetera, et cetera. Now she can show up next week that way. They did it the right way.
If she doesn't,
oh, then that means the natty character that we thought we were getting, we ain't getting. That's all. What you mean?
Got it.
And we don't. You saw Unreal. Plans change all the time. But yeah, that's why. I mean, when I saw her, I was like, oh, we're doing it tonight. And then it happened. But yeah, like you got to show you got to show that progression, because if she would have just showed up as Natty, last time we saw her was in the video package helping Maxine. So if she shows up braided up and either still in Maxine's corner or not, and she cost Maxine, it'd be like, what? At least now she can show up as the Natty character and give her.
Oh, so you telling me the same way Jacob showed up? Got it. Okay.
Hey, on that note, I guess it's probably time to go. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at my clock. It's time to go so we can put this beautiful content out for the folks. That's it. We out of here. We'll be back next week for a preview of the Royal Rumble. I'm sure a review of Saturday night's main event and whatever else SmackDown and Raw have in store for us. Got some exciting news to share with you guys in a couple weeks about the podcast, so we'll probably share that with you guys maybe next week. Like I said, we'll be heading back to the States in 2 weeks on a Tuesday. So we only got 2 more weeks out here in Spain before we got to head back to the U.S. and get our visa situation taken care of so we can come back, because we don't want to be here illegally. So you only allow 90 days total to be here. So we didn't know until we got here, and we did more research. We did a lot of research, but we didn't realize that the visa process had to be started in your home country. We thought we could do the visa process out here, and you can't. So we'll probably be in the U.S. for a little bit, but yeah, that's in 2 weeks. So man, that almost 3 months flew by, didn't it? Well, we got here in November, December, January, 2 months, I guess. Flew by. So we'll probably actually over the next few weeks, one of the episodes is going to be probably like part 1 of the whole thing, because we haven't even really talked about it, little bits and pieces so far. Like we did the initial, hey, we're going to Spain, we're moving to Spain, and then like that was kind of it. So we'll probably give you guys like part 1 of how everything came to be and what that is, and continue to keep you guys posted. So appreciate you guys. Y'all know where to find us. Y'all know who we be, where we be. We out. Best kept secret in wrestling podcast. We'll be back next week. See you then.